What's up, guys? Today I'm going to show you how we're getting 85% retention with doing something that a lot of traditional coaching programs don't do, and that is to own part of the execution. So, what do I mean by this? Because clients leaving, it kind of sucks because then you get clients, but then you lose them. And that is because your learnings are not part of the execution. And what I mean by this is when you teach people to do something, let's say you probably teach them to use Calendly, Loom, ClickFunnels, whatever, right? So you show them how to use certain software. Now, you don't own that software, and yet you send them. So without knowing, people have left you in the past, but you probably already created a very loyal customer to these softwares because you've sent them there and they're very useful. And they don't want to cancel those softwares. And when it comes time to renew, to them, it's like kind of a no brainer because they think, well, this software makes me money. It makes a lot of sense. I want to keep it. And so the traditional coaching is kind of like what you see over here, as in green is where you are involved and red is where you're not. So you teach them a certain lesson, you teach them to do things, and then you tell them, okay, go execute, right? And so on their progress, they're going to be able to, or you will tell them to use certain levels of software, like we just mentioned, but you don't own them. You don't own the execution. You're part of the beginning, but objectively, even though you can give them calls and support and whatnot, you don't own the platform that they're paying for when they actually do something else. Whereas with software enabled coaching, it's basically just another way of saying you own the software in which you send them to execute on. Well, you get paid either way because you're involved in the beginning, in the initial part of you helping them out, but you're also getting paid because you can offer the software that allows them to do things. So three really good examples of people who kind of understood this and made a lot of money with it are the following. So Russell Brunson, really good example, right? Because he started with, well, he helped people how to do things. He coached them, but he owned ClickFunnels, which is the software where people have their funnel. Makes sense, right? So either way, they're going to pay Russell because they're both really helpful. Alex Becker with Hyros. So he taught people, he had kind of like this mastermind as well. He taught them how to do, well, he had a mastermind, right? But he also taught them to use Hyros, which is his ad tracking software. Sam Ovens, a great example as well. So he had, kind of his mastermind. Then he started with School, which is just bring people in and then it's like kind of this community. So you see more and more that the coaches who like kind of make it big, if you will, they have this software enabled coaching, as in they own both the platform and the program you join in the beginning, but also the platform that is involved in the execution. And from this principle, we can create a lot of wealth for anybody who like understands it and applies it to their program. So let me explain to you which ones you can do, because right now you might be listening to this and you think, well, I don't know how to do software. I don't want to hire anybody. I don't know how to vibe code, because right now you don't need to code software. You can vibe code, but still maybe you don't want to do it, and that's fine. And the answer to that and the solution to that is that you don't really need to. So we got to understand like what software really is. So we start from there. Like what really is software? The way I define it, since I did software engineering in college, is that software is when a human tells a computer to skip a task for them. So for example, if you use something like ClickFunnels, right? So then you can skip the task of like building websites and whatnot. But this can be extrapolated to other uses. So for example, if you've had some sort of AI chat and you've asked that chat, can you help me like create and draft this awkward message? And then it does it for you. You did it like in a very specific way. And now you don't have to write that message yourself. Same logic as in you've probably written content that maybe you didn't want to do it, but you asked AI to do it. And so you used software to skip a task. You successfully did what software does. So going from that principle of own also the execution, not only the start of people's journey, I thought, well, I have a lot of content and like a lot of workshops and PDFs and recordings where I teach people how to write content, for example, write emails. And so what I did is I gave it to an AI and told the AI guide people through this process so that then you can do it for people. And then I started giving it to clients and I told them, you guys might want to use this instead of actually having to do the thing yourself. And people started using it and they started liking it. And then I thought, what if I could only just like move the content that I've already created and turn them into like these GPTs that do things for people? And so I did. I gave them the offer creator, the campaign writer, the positioning finder, and they started using it more and more. And so then I encountered like this big problem, right? Because I thought, man, like I've done what software does. This is really useful for people. They can skip tasks. But at the moment, I'm very limited because if I only give them a GPT, the only options that ChatGPT gives you is either make it public to everybody or nobody sees it. It's like you only get two. So you couldn't really restrict it only to paying members, which is kind of the point of a subscription, right? Because that's what you want. You want to have it in a way that, yes, you're going to be able to create these AI tools for people, but you want people who pay for it to use it, and you don't want people who don't pay for it to not use it, right? Like that's kind of the point. And so I built this software that kind of does this, all of this stuff, and I'm going to show it to you in a second, where people just kind of come in, they upload their PDFs and videos and transcripts and social media content, and then they have these AI tools like that are created for them. We're going to create one today. I'm going to show you how. But it also has this dormant function in that only paying users can get in. And so then I gave that to clients and only allowed, clients in and nobody from the outside. And if somebody left, well, it's only fair that their access gets revoked. And so I gave that to clients. It was free so that they could use it. And what was interesting to me is that clients started getting better results. They started getting activated faster. They started doing the things that they needed to do. And because it was part of the program, when it came time to renew, it was kind of like an easy decision for them because they thought, well, yeah, it makes sense to renew because this is making me money and it is part of the execution. And it was really easy for me to implement because all I had to do is just kind of give them a login page, which is just a link. So I told them, hey, just log in here. And as long as your membership stays active, this also stays active. You can use these tools for yourself to get, better results, not have to do the tasks. As in, use this software that I built specifically for this task that is going to help you in the execution. And after this, my churn went from like 50% to 5%. So people actually stayed. They started doing the work, which was really cool to see. And other people have done it. Like I've seen people get 85% retention after month 7, 100% retention after month 4. And it just happens a lot because now people like own this software that they can give their clients, as in this is actually more helpful than you doing things on your own. You should just use these AI tools to create your content, to write your meal plans, to create your workout plans. And it does it the exact same way that I teach you to do it in my own specific way. And thus, this is why I tell people that coaches are going to eventually end up becoming software owners, because that is where a lot of the money is, not just in the initial help, but in owning the software that allows for the execution of the task that they want to do. So I'm going to show you the software, how it works. We're going to create one right here. It's going to be just in this video. You're going to see how simple it can be and how people are using it to reduce their churn. So I'm inside the software right now, and we're just going to start by kind of creating our account. So I'm JK. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our socials, because you've probably created a lot of content online, which can be used to like generate your knowledge base. Because people are going to ask it things about you, right? Like that's the point. It is your software, so it should know. So we can add YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Drive folders if you want to keep things private, and your website. So for now, I'm just going to add these, and then I'm going to click on connect. And then it's going to start building kind of this knowledge base of you, right? And that's all we do. This is actually really cool because it takes like 20 minutes instead of, scraping everything and collecting everything. So we click on continue. All right. So now in the background, this is going to be learning and scraping from our stuff, which we're going to have like kind of this AIU. But ultimately, AIU is not just, that alone is not a good enough software to build. We needed to do something. We needed to do something like create content or create meal plans, like something that allows a human to skip a task so that it can do what software does. So how do we start? Where do we start from this? Let's look at what you already have. In your content, you already have a lot of knowledge about how to perform certain tasks. So today we're going to go with the example of me, which is I have content in a PDF where I teach people how to create this offer calendar. So people can use it. They create their offer calendar with the teachings inside. Now they could watch the 2-hour recording and kind of learn how to do it. I also have like these Google Sheets templates But, it's 2026, times are moving fast. We can just have a GPT or an AI tool that does it for people. Now, do we prompt it? Do we vibe code it? What do we do? And the answer is neither. We ask AI to create it for us. So we're going to do that right now. And right here, we're going to create our first software product inside. So the only thing we need in the beginning is we just need some sort of words somewhere that we can use. So for this, I'm going to take this PDF that I built on how to create the offer calendar. So it's called the offer shell. It's just a fancy way I have of saying it. And I'm going to download it. So you can do this right now with the content or transcripts you already have, because this also takes video. So that's step one. Step two, we go to this creator that is going to build our software for us. We're essentially going to give it a file, and then it's going to take people through that file and create a final asset for them. So in this case, they don't have to read the thing. They just have to talk to it and have an offer calendar made for them. And that alone is going to speed people up. And you're going to own the software that you teach them to execute. Therefore, people will find it more useful. Therefore, your retention goes up. Therefore, you make more money. So we're just going to talk to it. Let's build your Cashie. Two things I need from you. And by the way, Cashie is just what we call these GPTs. I also call them micro apps because they're essentially that. They're like micro apps that do a task. What do you want this to do? What's the outcome and who's it for? If you're not sure, tell me about your business. What do you do? Who you help and what they come to you for? I'll figure out the best one to build. So I want to create an offer calendar maker for people so they can just have theirs right away. 2, upload everything you've got: course, transcripts, frameworks, PDFs, templates. So I'm going to upload the PDF we just downloaded and send. Now, this works for any kind of file that you've got. If you've ever taught a human to do a process and you've written it in a Word document, in a PDF, even in a call recording, right? All of that are words, and AI is trained on words. So if you give it to an AI, now you can basically tell it, hey, do this for people, which is essentially what software does so that they can skip the task. Good point. You've got a clear methodology. I'm going to build an offer calendar maker. One question: what time frame should the calendar cover? 1 month feels like the sweet spot, long enough to be useful. Yeah, monthly. You want to create kind of these micro apps that allow people to facilitate a certain habit. That way, they'll keep using it. They'll find it more helpful. There's more reasons to stay with you. It's got it. Here's what I'm building. One thing I want to flag: the source material references offer templates in a doc called templates. That didn't come in the upload. If you can share that, I can make the calendar outputs more specific. So it's going to ask you like a tech guy, as in, okay, we know that we need to build this, but what do you want it exactly to look like? So here I have the option to add the other templates and just kind of riff off of what it's telling me. But for now, I'm just going to say they know where to find it. Just name them. It's okay. All right. And now we just click on build. So what's happening right now? Right now, the software is taking the questions that you answered, and it's taking the content that you gave it in which you teach people how to do a task, and thinking, how can we make it skippable? How can we build this AI that does this for people so that we can facilitate the execution of it? And so you own both where they got the information from and the execution of that information, which makes your business more helpful, more valuable to them, but also more sticky for your membership program. All right, it finished cooking. So right now we have a name, we have a what it does, ready to execute 30-day calendar for coaches and creators. We have a certain welcome message, the system prompt, which is basically, look at the size of this. That's what she said. But look at the size of the instructions that we're telling an AI. Way better than a just do this offer calendar, right? People have this misconception that AI is just terrible at following instructions. Not true. AI is good at following instructions. People are terrible at telling them. So, for example, when you tell an AI, hey, write this in a short and punchy voice, what does that mean, right? You're always going to be disappointed because you haven't included this much detail on how to do it. We have certain conversation starters, and then we're going to continue to test. Here we can see simulated conversations that people would have with your new software. So you can add feedback if you don't like it. And we're going to create it. All right, we created it. What now? Let me show you what the end software would look like for the user. So people can log in here, and right here, they already have your offer calendar maker, and they can just ask it things. I have my tier set up. I'm ready to build my calendar. And so look at how quick this is. If you have many courses and many processes inside of your material, they could all be a micro app. This is what we call it. It's a micro app is basically a GPT, but only for paying subscribers, because only your clients will be able to use this. And you don't really need to change anything about what you sell, what you do, what you know. You just have to like literally add a link as in, hey guys, log in here, because it integrates to wherever you have your clients, right? So now you have this. We just created an offer calendar maker and we did it like just now. Whatever you've taught could be this micro app. And so how is retention going up and how is churn going down for people who have this inside of their program without really changing much about what they do? Is because they just have so many useful tools inside. People, because right here you see like two apps, like for example, the one AI and then this offer calendar maker. So they have like me AI, like your main brain AI. So we already created two just talking right now. The first one was created when we added all the social medias. And so people have this like insight. They think, well, I have so many processes. Why don't I create like 5? Because it takes so little. And then they have these 5 micro apps. And in their course, now they don't tell people, or in their program, they don't tell people anymore to use this software or write it on your own, or these are the techniques you can do to do it alone, which takes a long time. Now they just say, okay, guys, we're going to post once a day. I know it's kind of a pain, but you can use this offer creator or this content creator and then get it done. And so they turn their software into a habit. They turn their software into part of the execution. And that is why people stay, because it is just such a helpful tool to have. And now here is where we control access. So right here we have users. And if somebody, they leave the program, they shouldn't be able to access it. But as long as they're in, they should be able to get the best help so that you get yourself the best chance at getting people to renew, because the incentives are aligned. You want to give them a better service and they want to keep using this software that is so helpful to them. And so this is how we're finding these results. Because with traditional coaching, you don't own what happens after you teach them things. You don't own the software. You've probably made companies like Calendly and Loom a lot of money, right? But what if you own the software that you send people to? And that is kind of the insight. That is when a lot changes, because now you can like keep helping people. They want to stay because they get so many useful things. And it's just a nice thing to have, right? Because just by installing this, you see that a lot of big programs, they have their AI, they have their micro apps, and it's for a reason, because it's so helpful to people and they don't want to leave it when that is a factor inside, instead of just calls and courses. Make sense? And so if a lot of people are canceling you or leaving your program, then the solution is simple. Own the execution as much as you own the initial information, so that you'll be helpful all the way and they will not want to leave. So if this is interesting to you, you can just DM me below. You'll see my socials below. You can send me a DM and I'll walk you through how I do this, because I do this for you. I install this for you and you don't pay until it actually works. All right? See ya.